Mikael, nice to see you again.
Hello. Hello, Isaac.
Okay, so just a quick recap. Uh, if you saw the previous episode of this in our advent calendar, our marketing manager, Maren, asked us to record a series on North American fiber trends for dummies. But being two Swedish guys, uh, trying to talk about trends in the North American fiber market, we decided it's probably better to call this. Uh, North American fiber trends by dummies.
By
Sorry, Mikael,
Dummies.
but
Yeah.
yeah, we can take it. But
Yeah.
we've got our American hats on and we're ready to go. So next question, Mikael, is, when people hear about open access networks, which is really a growing trend in the North American fiber market now, many people think about public networks, maybe municipal networks, and that is it's because they want to stay out of as much as possible stay out of the fiber. Really, they just need the infrastructure in their community. But we see a trend towards more private investments in open access networks. And why do you think this is happening and will it continue?
Yeah. So where does this even come from that it's only public investments? I mean, there is a lot of private investors in open access, and for a good reason. I mean, this is also, if you take the investor perspective, the reason for going this route as an investor and probably an infrastructure fund or pretty far from the business, but that is to get a business where you have a very infrastructure-like profile with very long-term investments, high capex, very low risk, high margins. It's less competition. It's That's the way you would get higher valuation on these assets and return on the investment, really. So that is the profile to attract that kind of investors. That is a main driver. But yeah, that was the first answer at least.
Okay. So something I often think about is specialization. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah.
not everyone is the best at everything, uh, even
hmm
though some people might be. But if you specialize on something, you can be really great on it because you're not distracted by something else. What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, that is the other really strong trend and that is leading up to this, and where it's actually possible to have different companies building and operating the infrastructure and delivering services. That actually a pretty natural trend in the whole society where we are getting more specialized. Traditionally, in the past, it was one company doing everything, really. But now it puts like the digital infrastructure to support the future services. It puts a lot of pressure on the quality and the robustness on the network. And at the same time, the customers, they have a lot higher demand on service providers and what kind of services they would like to buy or need. All kinds of different customers need different kinds of services. And it's difficult for one company to provide that to everyone. So, and then it's also the race we're in. This is a build out that needs to happen right now. So specialization makes sense in that perspective. You have another perspective on specialization. There is more areas, right? I know you have another one.
Yeah, no, but I mean, specialization, it comes also if we look at the ISP side, I think, if you specialize on your ideal customer type, you will be more successful in winning those customers. And I think it's also being one ISP or one provider of services, it's hard to be, the perfect fit for everyone. And I mean, I think there's no one today questioning the higher take rates in open access networks. And I think that is where it comes from, right? If
Yeah.
you if you have five choices with sort of different angles and different marketing messages and what they prioritize in servicing their customers, you will be more likely to win. And don't you think that is a reason also why we see private investment in open access networks being able to work together with multiple ISPs?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that is a way to capture all kinds of needs in an area where you build out because it's very physical, geographically bounded where you have put your money and you want to capture all kinds of services there. And to have a broad selection of providers that helps out and gives the take rate and monetize the asset maximum.
Yeah,
But
and
there
and
is,
if
yeah,
it, as a private owner, if you own that fiber, the more providers selling to more customers, that means more wholesale revenue. So it's easy
yeah,
to understand that that makes sense from a business perspective.
yeah. And we also see like it doesn't need to be either or here. We have also combinations because we have also now in the US, we have ISPs that are put in grant applications and they get higher points for having open access. And that is a trend that we've seen where private ISPs actually want to do open access for a particular area where they've got grants. And that is a start for the private ISPs to do open access, where they could be a tenant in their own open access network. And that is also what we have seen in Sweden, where the biggest open access networks, also some of them at least, have their own ISP.
Mhm.
And of course, that has been a bit controversial, but and they have had to work hard to build trust and to prove that they're independent from the like the network provider, wholesale provider is independent from the service provider. Takes
Yeah,
time, but that is probably a mix is what we're going to see in the future as well.
yeah.
And potentially ISPs, what would they do in the future?
In the future. No, that
Perhaps,
like you said, if it's important to have that separation if you're going to build trust with other providers to be on your network. Like
yeah,
often there is one operations company with its own brand and their ISP is a completely different organization, like
yeah,
internally and also a different brand. But yeah, this is my looking in my crystal ball into the future. I believe, and I think you agree, that this trend of privately owned open access networks will only continue to grow. And I think also, like you said, the private companies now doing this, maybe just because they want to get more points in the grant application, they will realize this is a great business opportunity for them. And so looking into my crystal ball again, what I think we will see is actually old incumbent ISPs actually opening up their older networks as open access to other ISPs as well. Because if you think about it, you have maybe 40-50% take rates. Why
yeah.
wouldn't you try to up that to 70-80%?
It's a
And
lot of untapped potential there.
definitely. So
Hmm.
we'll see.
Hmm.
We can meet again in 15, 30 years and see if we were right.
Yeah, let's just see in a year, next year, and see if we're right, if we're
Okay.
on
Yeah.
our way to this
Yeah.
path.
Next year, we might do this for the Advent calendar again.
Yeah.
Okay. See you, Mikael.
Okay. Take care. Bye.
Bye.